This is not a normal podcast. Look around. We're on an island in the James River in downtown Richmond. Sharps Island, it's called. People camp here, fish here, party here. For over 200 years, Richmonders have built structures on this island. Inevitably, those structures were washed away, but the Richmonders, like myself, keep coming back, keep building, trying to gain a foothold. Why? For us, the water that surrounds Sharps Island isn't a barrier, it's a threshold, a doorway to a magical place. This acre of rock and sand surrounded by the city, yet somehow completely secluded. On this podcast, our guests have to get in a boat and leave the world behind. I hope you'll come with them. So hey, this Saturday, if you're not doing anything else, come on back out here to Sharps Fest. Bring a friend. I think I texted you about it. That's our annual party where we spend the Airbnb money on food and drink.
Yeah.
So if you're not busy, feel free to.
I wish I could, but I gotta head down to Williamsburg.
Okay.
Try to get that house ready for sale. So.
Okay. Was that your mom's?
Yeah, it's my mom and dad's house.
Okay.
So yeah, I wish I could. You guys have a good time though.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be fun. All right.
And there we go. Hey, how you doing, brother?
What's up, man? Welcome.
What's going on?
Welcome back, I should say.
Yeah.
What's this? This is number 3 on the island, probably?
Yeah, I think it's 3.
The first time when we first put the sculpture out here.
Then the second time for the repairs.
Right. That was
this is 3.
That might have been my most the scare of all the things that have scared me when floods have come through.
Yeah.
Wondering whether the sculpture was still there, not knowing.
Uh-huh.
And finally making it out here, being like, oh my God.
Yeah, I was heartbroken, but Edward, he survived though.
Dude, he survived.
Yeah.
He's tough. I was looking back actually through there was an article about it in Style Weekly, and I was looking back through pictures. That was October of 2020.
Wow, okay.
So we got our Edwards' 5-year anniversary coming up. Isn't that cool?
That is cool. There he is.
So yeah, I'm trying to think though. It's been a while, so check it out.
Wow, man.
Isn't it cool?
That's amazing.
Isn't that neat?
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, sometimes we do the podcast in there. Here, come take a look inside. With the weather today, we figured we'd do it outside, but look, yeah, we got, furniture.
What?
People camp, when there's bigger groups, you can sleep 5 or 6 in here. They move the furniture out and, just pads and stuff like that in here.
Yo, this is...
Rooftop deck.
Just the design of it is just...
Isn't it neat?
Inviting.
It's there was a friend of mine who's an architect in DC who we went back and forth on the idea for it, but it was his design.
It's good to know people in it.
Yeah, it's fun. So, but Keith, you'd appreciate this. The cabin part, it was a functional cabin 2 Aprils ago, and then it was an art project because those shingles,
yeah,
trying to keep that pattern and do it exactly, it was like me and a brad nailer and my template for getting it, getting the circle every time, and it just took weeks and weeks.
Yeah, but but that's what it is when you're doing art like that.
Art.
It's like a little bit at a time, and then you just step back and wow, right. I got a lot done.
Right.
And sometimes it's just you just got to nose in, put the podcast on, and just go at it.
100%.
Don't even think about it.
Well, and then, you look at some of the smaller pieces, right? You got to cut all those individually.
Yeah.
It was just me, and then up there you'd be you're on a ladder, and so I'd bring a circular saw and put it on the roof, and I'd have the nail gun with me and the template, right? And I would draw the line, and then I'd cut it and then nail it, and then oh crap, I gotta go get more shingles.
Yeah,
it was these days where you're oh my God, I just did 40 shingles today, today.
That's amazing.
And I gotta get 400 done.
So and you did this by yourself, or?
The vast majority, all the things that, so I had a friend, there were 2 big work days where friends helped, the wall board, the big 4x8 pieces that are underneath that, you can't You know, especially standing here, you can't do that by yourself.
No,
you
no,
know?
no.
So I had a friend with that, and then like there was a day where a group of guys, a couple of the other owners, we did the ceiling.
Uh-huh.
So that's another one. All of the interior siding is from, you would love it, man. It's reclaimed from different places.
That's what you do. That's what you do.
Like there's a guy in Chester who had a big mill, and they were kind of like leavings from his mill, you know, or and he was selling them cheap, and then some of them were from like, you know, you'd find random people on Facebook Marketplace like, hey, I got a bunch of old oak, you want that?
Yep.
You know, here, give me $100 or
Yep.
give me $10 or whatever. So it was a labor of love, but yeah. So outside of those couple of days, it was me and an art, you know, working on my art project.
That is, it's an installation. Shit.
Well, and that was kind of the goal, right? You know, once you set the standard with our boy Edwards over there, we gotta like, let's make it something that I wanted people to be like, in the same way I want people's reaction to Edwards to be like, I gotta go see, there's art out on this island. I wanted people to be like, what the heck? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right, welcome, folks. Today we're joined by a Richmond artist with a style all his own. He's left his mark all over Richmond, including on this island. We're gonna go take a look at the sculpture, the found object sculpture that you built out there. Keith Ramsey, welcome back.
Hey, thank you, brother.
It's been a few years since
Yeah.
we've been on the island. You want to go take a look at your old friend?
Yeah, let's go take him
All
out.
right, let's do it. Edwards is his name, right? He's been,
Yep. He's named after Melvin Edwards, the sculptor.
right? He's about to have a 5-year anniversary out here.
Yeah.
Our guy.
Yeah. 5 years.
Isn't that crazy?
That is nuts. Time's flying, man. I'm telling you. Yeah. After I'm super surprised and super glad that he's still in one piece.
Still kicking.
Yeah. Still in one piece after all the flooding and stuff. Hopefully he stays that way.
Well, yeah, you can see. Take a look. He here. I'll go over here. We'll try and find a place around our friend where we can talk here. But he, you know, you look down at his feet. You know, those logs showed up in January when the river got to like 17 and a half feet, lodged up under him. Keith and I have been friends since going to Crossroads Coffee Shop.
Since Crossroads.
On South Side.
Yep.
And so the owners of this island, we've owned it for almost 7 years now, and we put it on Airbnb and Hip Camp. You remember? I remember telling you about it. And it was sort of like, oh my gosh, people want to camp here, and produced a little bit of money. So we started trying to, like, you know, build some amenities, right?
Yeah.
And then the second year, it produced enough money where I was like, man, how cool would it be to like have a piece of art, like public art, but almost have like a treasure hunt component to it, right? Like, I remember telling you about it, like, people got to go find it. Hey, did you know about that statue? It's like out on this island.
Yeah.
So that's when we commissioned you, right?
Yeah, when you first approached me, we were like, yeah, let's do it. And you were like, can we do something like Civil War, something specific to Richmond? I was like, yeah, we can, but I don't want to.
Right,
I want to
right.
do something that's more general public, more to the environment.
Right.
And I came up with like a guy fishing.
Right.
You know, so it just kind of fell right into place. I'm glad we went that way because it's not political. He's just out here enjoying what people want to enjoy, the river.
And I know you've described it as kind of like almost like an ode to the working man, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And the history of Manchester and this area, this sort of industrial, like heartbeat of Richmond over the last 2 centuries. And like it couldn't be in a more perfect place in terms of what he's doing.
Yeah, plus the materials.
Fishing.
The materials call to that. To the working man and women in Richmond, the ironworks that goes into the city and stuff that. So completely made out of found objects makes complete sense.
Right.
You know, to build them out of all these parts and pieces, railroad spikes, all this parts, rebar,
bike chains,
stuff that was found in Richmond. You know, so it's just like all the way around. He's like from Richmond, of Richmond, and he's enjoying Richmond.
And I guess this is sort of emblematic of your style. You've described it as Foundpunk.
Foundpunk, yep, because found objects turned into something more practical. You know.
Is the punk part steampunk?
Yeah.
Is that where
that's where it came from. Steampunk got me started in there. I knew what steampunk was, but I didn't know what it was called. You know, you'll hear that from a lot of people who just see it and be like, whoa, I love this.
Right.
but I don't know what it's called, but it was called steampunk. I found out about that back in 2012 over at, when I worked at Punch.
Okay.
And,
so you were a graphic designer?
Yeah, I was a graphic designer.
Okay.
And I was collecting antiques before I started working there, so I was like well familiar with the style and all. But once I found out what it was and what the actual aesthetics were, it changed my entire world, man.
Okay.
So
it just resonated with you. Were you creating art at that time, or were you just making art for work, graphic designing?
No, I've been an artist for decades before.
Okay.
Graphic design was just a way of me making money and stuff like that. So I fell into graphic design as a profession. But after I would get off from work, I would go home, work in the studio, do paintings, and once I started to learn how to weld after I found out about steampunk. I started welding after work and stuff. So, professional day during the day, go home, change clothes, get outside, and for the rest of the night, I was practicing and honing my talent onto trying to build stuff and I couldn't, I didn't know where to buy real steel and stuff like that. So I just leaned on buying, finding metal, people giving me metal and stuff like that, and working within those confines of using stuff that is old and rusty, So
I would imagine, like a lot of artists, that fed a whole different part of your brain than the work art that you were doing.
Yes.
And like as a way of expressing yourself, I guess.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
so what were you creating? Were you a painter as well?
Yeah, I was more of a painter.
Okay.
I didn't get into really sculpture until after 2013.
Okay.
So I was
when you kind of had that steampunk, foundpunk.
And that just
realization.
Drew me into that a lot more. But I was still painting. I was always a painter.
Okay.
Nowadays it's a little bit harder because working for myself, I'm all day creating in metal and all that stuff.
Right.
And so at night sometimes I just want to chill with the cats.
Right.
And hang out and don't want to really do anything. So painting has been kind of put off to the side. Right now it's just like all about sculpture and things like that. I'm trying to just advance into a different dimension of artwork and expression.
Well, and I want to get to the sort of the business side of what you do too, but I want to finish our conversation about this guy, because people, the people that camp out here, I'm always in communication, and we've got like a guest book, that people sign, and everybody talks about this. There's actually, do you know what geocaching is? It's kind of like treasure hunting. There's one right here.
Oh, that's what that is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a geocache.
Oh, okay.
Everybody who comes out here talks about Edwards. That's exactly what we wanted, right? We wanted people to be, when we commission you, like, holy crap, there's this crazy sculpture out on island. I got to go find that. So that was October of 2020. Yeah. Still kind of like early COVID, and then a month later it was washed away. Do you remember that?
When you gave me send me a text, it was like, hey, I'm looking at I don't see Edwards there.
Right.
My heart, like, whoa, what's going on? What the hell is going on?
It was 1 month later.
It's like, where is he? And I was thinking, like I said, he was down in Norfolk or somewhere.
Right.
I was like, he's broken up. He's not there anymore. How do I deal with that, like, artistically and emotionally?
Right.
And then when you told me that all his parts was here, I was like, we got to put them back together. I was like, he's got to go back up.
Yeah, I went up. You're not really supposed to do this, but you go. The best view of the island when it's flooding is right up there on those train tracks.
Yeah.
So I got up there, and that's when I was like, oh my God, he's not here. A couple days later, the river goes down, and I was able to get up here, and you remember it was like, one arm was in that tree. Luckily, he's heavy enough and angular.
He just kind of fell back, and then that was all. He was all here.
It wasn't quite, and that same flood in November of 2020, like there was an A-frame cabin that got washed away. Yeah. Outhouse got washed away. Edwards was the only thing that survived.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and there was no two ways about it. I was like, we're putting them back together.
Yeah,
I was like, let's do them and let's put them back and make them more permanent.
Remind me, how is he anchored? This is a granite outcrop here. How's he in the granite?
Oh, that was a hard way to go. But he's got epoxy down. I had to drill down into the granite, which was expensive.
Hammer drill. Right.
Yeah, and a couple of bits, quite a few bits.
Right.
But he's down into the granite with epoxy and stuff like that, 2-part epoxy. So he's going to be here pretty much a while, and I, shored up a lot of his welds and stuff like that.
Right. That's right. Well, yeah, because you had to weld his arms and legs back to his torso, right?
Had to weld everything back up. So that was a fun time. That was a good day. But we had to do it. It was one of those things where like, this is part 2. We have to go and take care of this.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, man.
Yeah, I love this guy. I mean, I would say goodnight to him every night when I left him in the studio. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, this is my man right here.
He's good. He's a good dude. We good? Absolutely. Okay. I want to know, having known you for a while and followed your art, commissioning sculpture from you. I mean, you've participated in the RVA Street Art Festival. You've been written about.
Yeah.
That was, 2013?
That was 2013.
You've been written about in all sorts of, if you Google your name and art, Richmond Magazine, Style Weekly, The Richmonder, Martha Stewart even featured you and then online. Yeah. I'm curious about being a professional artist. What moves the needle in terms of sales? How have you been able to build to a point where you can say I make art for a living?
Well, first of all, I think it comes from the fact that I don't want to get another job. Right. I was like, this is a job I need to have for the rest of my life. Just being an artist is so much more freedom. It's hard to make money at it.
Right.
But when your mindset is shifting from I want to make money to I want to be happy and value my time,
right,
then the money will come. The universe will make sure you're okay as far as what you need and stuff like that when you need it. And so when it comes to being a professional artist, in my view, it comes down to consistency, kindness, understanding. Talking to people in a way where, there's mutual respect and stuff like that. Because I don't want to have a client that treats me like I'm just a servant. I want to be like, no, I'm equal parts in this because you're asking me to put a lot of myself into what you're getting.
Okay.
So you don't, for me, I don't look at the business aspect of the real important part of it. It's more of the creating and getting the client what they want, what they enjoy and what they can live with.
Right.
So
they might ask you for something specific, but it generally is a conversation.
Yeah, because
between you and them.
I love this job because people are like, hey, I need this, but I want you to do it how you do it.
Right.
So that takes the pressure off of me because it helps me to give them what they want. Plus, it helps advance my creativity too at the same time. So and they pay me for it.
Right.
I was like, how do you get paid for doing something you're passionate about?
Like a railing, a decorative railing.
Oh yeah.
Right? A lot of what you do for money is metalwork, right?
Yeah, ironwork. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The vast majority of it is ironwork, whether it be railings, trellises, gates. Even gate repairs and railing repairs,
Right.
Because I don't think there's that many people in town that actually would want to do that because it's a short money gig, but it's very necessary. You have a railing on your house that swings back and forth because the bottom of it's rotted out. Who are you going to call for that?
Right.
Who's the guy? You know a guy.
Right.
I'm that guy. So they'll call me up. I'll fix it up for them, and then boom, their railing is back to where it needs to be. Plus, it's safe now.
Right.
And that makes me feel good that I'm able to provide that kind of service because people are like, oh, this might be too small of a job for you because they're used to seeing my railings and stuff like that.
Right.
The designs, the sculptures that I've done.
Right.
But I'm like, no, it's not too small.
And that's how you build.
Necessary.
And that person's a potential art buyer in the future.
Yeah. So,
how long did it take for you to sort of become a known commodity, right? Like you've got build.
I don't know.
I would imagine.
It took me some time, but it took a lot of like proving myself in a ways, and then a lot of people standing behind me and being like, hey, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing.
Right.
He does his work. He shows up when he says he's going to show up. And so it kind of builds up. I think it built up over time. I can't even tell you when it was. Yeah, it's a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you when that switch flipped where it's like, oh, we got to get Ramsey to do this. Got to get Ramsey. It's just an ongoing thing,
Right.
And so at this point, I feel like, my name is out there enough.
Right.
I have enough, places where you can point to in Richmond and be like, oh, yeah, I did that. Oh, I did that over there, too.
Right.
I did that house across the street from me.
There are now, like, driving around places where I see a railing, I'm like, I know that's Ramsey.
Yeah,
It's like, and it might not even be super fancy, but there might be a flourish like in a gate or a railing where I'm like, I know that's
yeah,
you know?
and I was lucky enough to create a style, and I think that comes from being a graphic designer too, because
really?
Coming from it from that angle, I know design and weight and kind of how to do things.
Right.
Now I'm just doing it in 3D instead of just printing it out on a printer or putting it in a PDF.
Right.
So now it's one of those. Hey, you stick to your style, you stick to what you really want to do.
Right.
And the public will come along with you. You don't kind of like, I want to do this because it sells.
Right.
You do it because you want to do it, and then that's when people are like, hey, I want you to do that for me.
Is most of what you do, it feels like it's kind of like a blending, like a melding of fine art and kind of like functionality. Is that accurate?
Functionality is the first and foremost. It has to be practical. It has to work the way it's supposed to work.
Right.
Before anything else.
Like a gate's got to work as a gate.
A gate's got to work as a gate.
Can't
so I'll
just be
do the
art.
frame out, and then I'll do the design after the frame is checked and ready.
Right.
Because you don't want to get into a point where you're like, you built the whole thing out as this beautiful thing,
right.
and then you got to cut it up because it doesn't work as it's supposed to work.
Right.
Trust me, you learn those lessons in this game. So you have to look at the practicality of it. You have to look at what the usage of it is for the person that's going to own this thing. And then you go into the design and stuff like that. And that's where I pull from Art Deco, from Botanical, from, different...
Definitely see some Art Deco influence.
Yeah, a lot of Art Deco.
Some of the like fine art, the painting that you did early on had some of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. From Edward Hopper and stuff like that.
Right.
So, yeah, but... And even with the paintings and stuff like that, there's the element of, what am I trying to say in my work and stuff like that. So that has a practical use too, because it's trying to express what I'm saying. Maybe it's politics, maybe it's, how do you feel and stuff like that. So it all comes into everything full circle.
What about the pure fine art side? First of all, like speaking of fine art, I want to hear about this elephant that you pull behind your truck. I saw you the other day, and your truck itself is very recognizable, or at least it has been over the years. I don't know if it's a new one, but there you were driving down Forest Hill Avenue, and you had a small trailer, and there's this multicolored elephant in the back.
Yes, Camille.
Tell me about it. Camille.
Camille the elephant. She's the best thing.
Where was she going?
She's just hanging out, dude.
She's on a ride.
All right, so this is what happened. I got commissioned to do, a woman off of Cherokee Road was like, hey, I'd like a sculpture of an elephant.
Okay.
So, okay, I've never done an elephant, but that's like a lot of things. Like, I've never done this, but I'm going to try it.
Right.
So she commissioned this elephant. She said, I want it to be bright colors and stuff like this. I was like, all right, cool. Did the elephant, made it the happiest little elephant I've ever seen.
You loved it.
I was so attached to it, even before she got the paint on her. And I painted it the way I thought she should have painted, Took it over there to her. Everybody was seeing it. Everybody was loving Camille.
Right.
I love Camille. And took it over to her house, and it was the wrong colors.
So the lady saw it, and she was like,
She was like, no, those aren't the colors I wanted, because she needs it for more calming colors. And I think these might have triggered something or something. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll buy her back from you, because I was like, and I was asked to repaint it. I was like, no. She was born this way. She's going to stay this way.
That's who you got attached to.
I got really attached. Even before, I was like, I hope. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's seen her. He was like, it's like, what if she doesn't take it? I was like, if she doesn't take it, I'm going to be happy as hell, because I get to keep her for myself and show the world. Because at first she was going to be on one property. Now she's riding around Richmond. She's on a tour of Richmond, so more people can see her. And so, once she rejected it, I was like, well, Camille's going to hang out on this trailer, and we're going to tour Richmond. I was so happy. I was like, I'm doing her another elephant now. I got the second elephant for her in the workshop. I do have a smaller elephant that I just finished.
Okay.
And her name is Camille Petite.
Okay.
Because she's French. And so I'm going to sell her, because people have been asking how much I'm going to sell Camille for. I was like, well, I'm not going to sell Camille now, because I'm really enjoying having her ride around. Right. But I'll sell the smaller one for whoever wants to collect it, because I feel like I have like maybe 8 elephants ready, that I'm going to do, and then not do elephants anymore. So. Okay.
Yeah, I saw, after I saw you driving around, I went to your Instagram. What's your Instagram?
Foundpunk's RVA.
Foundpunk RVA. And I was going back, and I found your some pictures of Camille, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And now that I think about it, it's sort of like the perfect encapsulation of what you were saying. It was like business, but it was just following your heart that led to this. And now I feel like it's the most amazing advertisement. It's like a billboard going along behind you, right? It's like, well, you didn't do it for that reason. You did it because you love Camille.
I didn't do it for that reason. I'm not doing it specifically because I want people to be like, oh, that's Ramsey. Let me go there and get him to buy this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You know, it'd be nice, you know, to have that happen. But my main purpose for Camille now, riding around on that trailer, is to make people happy.
Right.
Just give them a little bit of happiness for a moment, you know, just to make them smile. Because there's so much darkness now that she brings a little bit of light to the world.
Right. How has your art evolved? If 2012, 2013 was kind of like the genesis of you and art and Foundpunk, how has it evolved since you went full time?
Oh, I'm doing elephants now. I never would have did that. So, you know, did the elephant. I did Augusta, the sturgeon down in outside of Pittsburgh.
Is it Hopewell?
No, it's in Colonial Heights.
So that's another piece of public art.
That's another piece of public art. Okay. She's fantastic too.
Is she in a park? Where is she?
She's at the edge of the Rappahannock River, down in on walking trail.
Rappahannock is Fredericksburg. Is it where Appomattox?
Yeah, Appomattox. Yeah. So she's down there, right on the river edge and stuff like that. 14-foot sturgeon.
Off of outside of Petersburg.
Yeah, just north of Petersburg.
14 feet. That's a big.
Big
girl.
She's a big girl. And so that was fun. Never did a sturgeon before, so there we go. Knocked it out the park. You know, did Edwards after that. You know, it's like knocked it out of the park. So it's just like these things keep happening, and I love the fact that I'm able to experiment with what I could do with my talent.
Is there sort of a genre or type of art that you haven't explored that like interests you or think might interest you in the future?
Kinetics, like art that moves, that has motion and stuff. I would love to be able to explore that, you know, but I haven't been able to do it because nobody's commissioned me to do it.
Right.
You know, I'm constantly chasing the check to pay rent, mortgage, and all the bills and stuff. And, you know, feed the cats and everything. So, you know, it's like I can experiment with it, but it'll take time out of the time it takes to make the money come in. You know?
Right. I mean, how difficult is it to be a professional artist in Richmond, Virginia?
It's not hard. The hard part is finding where, you know, people are willing to pay you for what you do. You know, for me, I'm lucky enough because I've structured my business as to, you know, doing things that people need, like railings, gates, you know, all that stuff.
There's that functional component.
The functionality of it. But if I was straight up just a painter or something like that, it'd be really hard, you know, because I'm not in the gallery system. I gave up on the gallery system.
You used to be, right? Like you had gallery shows.
Yeah. So I'm in 2 retailers. And so, you know, I try to keep my work in retail so that it's out there and stuff like that. But as far as trying to get in the galleries and stuff, I'm no longer like.
That's a whole separate rat race.
Yeah. I have one gallery that has work of mine in theirs. But, you know, and that's on Visual Art Studio on Broad Street. So she's been having me have my work in there for years. So, you know, I'm like, cool, and keep that work going. But that's the only place. And I don't do work for shows anymore because you do the work, it goes out, everybody loves it, and then it comes back and you got to store it somewhere. I was like, I don't want to store my own work. Oh, shoot.
I want to hear about, it's not a bike club. Let's talk about Bike Monday Bros. I mean, it started with art in the sense of you cutting up bikes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good connection.
Tell us about Bike Monday Bros.
All right, Bike Monday Bros. It started off with me cutting up bikes because I saw a graphic online.
When was this?
This was back in 2013, 2014. And the guy was doing these digital bikes, but they were all digital, but they were unrideable bikes. They were like, people would draw bikes from memory and then he would create them in digital. And they were the coolest, sleekest, weirdest things I've ever seen. And I was like, well, if he's doing it digitally, I wonder if you could do it like actually, like make these weird bike sculptures. So I started the art bike thing, and you know, did like 4 or 5 bikes and stuff like that, and just built these weird bikes. I had a friend, Rita Shang. She had a bike for me, and she's like, "Hey, I got this bike for you, but don't cut it up. I want you to ride this bike." I was like, "All right, I got to ride this bike." I called up my best friend, Haywood Bennett. Was like, "Hey, let's go for a bike ride. We did some bike rides. Shan and Shaw jumped on. We did some bike rides with Shan, but we could only do on Monday. Yeah, these are all just going for bike rides, just because we haven't done it in a long time.
Right.
Why not get into doing the things you used to love as a kid?
So this is when, like?
This was 2017.
17.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we started riding. Had a bunch of other friends with us a little bit, and just started riding around and stuff on Mondays. And then Jay jumped on. John J. Cecil, he jumped on with us, and we started riding and stuff like that.
Just casual fun.
Casual, just hanging out, just doing something different.
Way to spend time together.
And so 2020 happened, and the world was falling apart. Statues were coming down. Confederate flags were going up. George Floyd,
COVID.
all that crazy stuff.
Right.
And so I was like, hey, fellas, what can we do in this moment to kind of chill everybody out?
Right.
The best thing we had was our bikes.
Right.
So it's like, hey, let's put together a bike ride. Cool.
Right.
We got, we put out on Instagram and Facebook, like, hey,
Was this like summer, spring?
Yeah, it was the summer. It was like June 2020.
Okay, so not long after George Floyd.
Not long after all
of that
everything.
Stuff
We were in the middle of it.
It was all happening.
It was going off. So, so we just was like, hey, meet us at Monroe Park.
Right.
We'll ride around in Richmond just to calm everybody down, just to get people together and remind ourselves that we're a community.
Right.
And so we didn't know we were going to have 5 people, 50 people, or 500 people.
Social media, like just Facebook posts, word of mouth.
Facebook and Instagram. That was it.
That's it.
Threw up a graphic.
And telling your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends. So we showed up. We had our shirts on and stuff like that. The news media came out because they heard about it.
Okay.
I was like, all right, cool, that's great. We called I contacted GRTC and let them know. They were like, okay, fine, thanks for letting us know.
Right.
So we turned around, got to the park. There were some people hanging out and stuff like that. I was like, all right, cool, this is gonna be good. So I turned around, did something on my bike, turned back around, and then I saw just like a mosse of people coming from 2 different directions.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, what is this?
Right.
And so, we did our announcements. Thanked everybody for coming out. We had Brantley from Bike Walk RVA help us out with the shepherding and stuff like that through the traffic. And me and Jay were up front, Shannon Wood were in back sweeping, and we just took off through the city. And it was we would go around corners and go up the block, and people would still be just coming around the corner.
Right.
It was
the
incredible.
idea, was it meant to be like overtly political?
It was overtly political because the miles added up to how long it took them to kill George Floyd.
Okay.
So it was like,
okay.
It was like 8 miles and 40 seconds.
I mean, it sounds like the way you're describing it, it wasn't necessarily like a protest ride.
It wasn't a protest ride. We didn't look at it as we looked at it as more of a community unity ride.
Got it.
And that's what it was called. Right. It was the unity ride. So we just looked at it as, it wasn't a protest. It wasn't saying anything outside of, hey, let's get together. We all need to take a deep breath and step back a little bit and remind ourselves that we're not in a war zone.
Right. The world's falling apart. How do we kind of put it back together?
And we're trying to, and that was us putting it back together.
Right.
And so we went for that ride and stuff like that. We came down Floyd Avenue.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. There's the symbolism there. So we got in Monroe Park and told everybody, hey, we're going to start riding bikes on Mondays. Join us if you want to.
Okay.
So we just put it out there, and people started showing up for our bike ride.
So that event turned it from a kind of like you and your friends riding bikes on Mondays to a community.
It was truly an organic thing.
Yeah.
We had no plans for this to happen like this, and now our Mondays are like 50 to 90 people.
Yes, I mean it's 5 years later now.
Yeah,
and you're still doing it,
and we're still doing it
every Monday.
Every Monday we can.
Exactly.
Every Monday we can. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it just happened, and it just works out, and you look back at it, it was like, it just started from just a small group.
So, and how big is it now?
Like between 50 and 90 every Monday. Yeah,
that's a lot of people coming.
Last week I think we had 78.
Nice.
We've topped out at like 100 and something.
And the idea is, I'm assuming you're not like, buzz, like that many people. It's not casual is probably the wrong word, but like it's a fun, everyone together kind of ride.
Yeah.
No drop ride? Is it a no drop?
No, it's a no drop ride. We're constantly, we have guys that know how to work on bikes and stuff, so they bring the tools and stuff like that.
Someone gets a flat.
Somebody gets a flat where we've had for it's been crazy for the past couple of weeks. But we're always, my whole thing about the group is I want this group to be the kind of group I want to be part of.
Right.
One that cares about you, one that that takes care of its riders and stuff like that. Safety first,
Right.
you know, enjoyment and stuff like that.
Right.
And so that's how we kind of built Bike
Right.
Monday Bros.
Still not political. The
No,
idea is not to be political.
no. The idea is just community.
Right.
It's just to get people, hey, you're having a bad day on a Monday, come ride bikes with us and meet some people and have a good day for the rest of the afternoon.
Right.
You know, you've been on a Zoom call all day, you want to come
Right.
out, that's why we don't have no broadcast music. It's because you don't know who's beside you and who's been on the phone all day who just wants that peace and quiet.
Right.
Don't play your music out loud because, you know, respect everybody. Not everybody wants to listen to your music.
Right.
So I'm like, those kind of rules is just like the kind of rules that I want in place to make everyone comfortable with what they're doing.
Right. Where do you launch? Where does it start every Monday?
Starbucks on Robinson Street. We meet at 5:30. We ride out at 6. It's a good meeting point.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the
Right in the middle of everything.
You know, so we just go either north, east, or west.
Got it.
You know, so
That's super cool.
yeah.
All right. Good
Yeah.
stuff, man.
Dude, thank you, man.
That was
Thanks
awesome.
for having me. Shoot.